Hello everyone, I'm Anna, your cinephile host. Have you seen the movie The Da Vinci Code? How many of you understand every detail of the cryptography in the movie? What is the meaning of the pentacle, or the Vitruvian Man, or the Fibonacci sequence? To be honest, I had to write down all specific points step by step while watching it the second time to write the story for you. Now, let me decipher the encrypted code in the movie The Da Vinci Code for you to really follow the plot. Jacques Saunière, the curator of the Louvre, is shot dead. He's nakedly lying on the floor in the Louvre, imitating the pose of the Vitruvian Man. A pentacle is carved out on his chest. He wrote down a series of numbers on the floor with a short sequence of words. Professor Robert Langdon is called by the police to help find the murderer, who the police believe is him, Professor Langdon himself. At the same time, a cryptology specialist at the Paris police headquarters, Sophie Neveu, comes to help Robert, because she believes that Robert can help her to find out who killed her grandfather. Together, they decipher the words in the sentence written on the floor. It turns out to be an anagram, and the answer is Leonardo da Vinci, the Mona Lisa. Under the Mona Lisa painting, they discover another anagram, and Sophie solves it as Madonna of the Rocks. Following the direction, they find a cross with laser scanner's dots and an address on it. On the way to the US Embassy for Robert to get asylum, he briefly introduced the background of the Priory of Sion and their relationship with Sophie's grandfather, Jacques Saunière, and what the murderer is looking for.
But what secret?
The Priory of Sion protects the source of God's power on earth.
Robert tells Sophie the source of God's power on earth is the Holy Grail. While they drive to the US Embassy, they realize that police are waiting for them. Sophie makes a prompt decision to drive her small band Smart backward all the way down to escape. In the meantime, the killer of Jacques Saunière, who is Silas sent by Bishop Aringarosa, goes to the church Saint Sulpice to trace a clue under the rose on the rose line. Bishop Aringarosa of Opus Dei is attempting to find and destroy the Holy Grail to protect the integrity and the holiness of the Holy Bible and of the Catholic Church. So he sends Silas to kill all 4 members of the Priory of Sion, including the Grand Master Jacques Saunière. It is said that the members of the Priory of Sion are protectors of the Holy Grail. However, Silas finds nothing in a small church but a box with an embossment of Job 38:11, which means the verse of the book of Job, chapter 38, verse 11 in the Bible.
You know it, sister.
Job 38:11. Hitherto shalt thou come, but no further.
Silas cannot accept the answer, so he kills the sister. During this time, Robert and Sophie get a cryptex locked in a hexagon cylinder with the cross and a number written by Jacques Saunière beside his dead body. But they do not know how to choose the right 5 letters of each scroll using 26 letters of the English alphabet. To solve the puzzle, Robert thinks of an old friend and a lifelong fan of the Holy Grail, Professor Leigh Teabing, who lives in Chateau Villette. There, Teabing tells them that the Holy Grail actually is not a cup, but a woman.
Jesus goes on to tell Mary Magdalene that it's up to her to continue his church.
But this is a hypothesis of Teabing only. The cryptex is still the major source of the Holy Grail. Silas is informed to go to Chateau Villette. The police also find their whereabouts by tracing their car. While Teabing excitedly checks up the cryptex, Silas appears, but after a fight, Silas is taken down. Teabing then orders his butler to drive them to an airport where they can fly away to Zurich, Switzerland in his private plane. On the plane, Teabing tells Sophie that most people believe that the sarcophagus of Magdalene is the Holy Grail. Robert finds a plate on the hexagon cylinder engraved with another puzzle, indicating that they need to find an orb in the Tomb of the Templars in London, and it will uncover the secret of the final riddle. Although the police try to intercept Robert and Sophie at the airport, Tibbing cunningly helps them escape the arrest. At the same time, Bishop Aringarosa is also informed by the teacher to get to London, where he should hand in the money at the dorm of Opus Dei to exchange the Holy Grail, which is still a cup, to him. Robert, Sophie, and Tibbing arrive at a place displaying effigies of the Templars, which they mistake for the tomb of the Templars. Silas appears, followed by the butler. They take the hexagon cylinder away and take Tibbing as a hostage. The butler drives Silas to a dormitory of Opus Dei and tells him to wait for the next order. That's where Bishop Aringarosa is informed to hand out the money. But unexpectedly, the butler is poisoned by Tibbing later, and it is revealed that Tibbing is the teacher who plots the murders to trace the real answer of the Holy Grail. He then calls the police to go to the dorm to arrest their wanted suspects. The cryptex is on Tibbing's hand, but he does not know how to solve it. Through Google, Robert finds that the puzzle he finds on the plate actually means the tomb of Sir Isaac Newton, who is also a member of the Priory of Sion. But Tibbing is there waiting for them and threatens them to solve the puzzle of the cryptex. And he thinks Sophie is the guardian of the Holy Grail.
All the oppression of the poor and the powerless, of those of different skin, of women, you can put an end to all that.
Concurrently, London police are approaching the place where Silas stays and Bishop is arriving. In the gunfight, Silas is shot dead by the police after he mistakenly shot Bishop Aringarosa. As a result, Captain Fesch of Paris Police finds that Bishop made him believe that Robert is the murderer, and he finds Tibbing is the man behind the curtain through the communication record of the cell phone of Silas and Bishop. The police also find where Tibbing is through his cell phone. Threatening Robert and Sophie to solve the cryptex in vain, Tibbing gives out his gun while emptying his hands to save the cryptex, which Robert threw into the air. And the police come in at the moment to arrest Tibbing. On the way to the police car, Tibbing guesses that Robert has solved the puzzle. And he is right. Robert indeed takes out the papyrus from the cryptex with 5 letters of A-P-P-L-E, and the papyrus directs them to the place which is seen as the home of the Holy Grail.
The Holy Grail neath ancient Roslyn waits. The blade and chalice guarding o'er her gates, adorned in master's loving heart she lies, she rests at last beneath the starry skies.
Roslyn Chapel, located in the village of Roslyn, Midlothian, Scotland. This is the place indicated on the papyrus. There is a group of guardians of the sarcophagus of Magdalene. The final message inside the cryptex leads Neveu and Langdon to Roslyn Chapel, whose guardian Marie Cheval St. Clair is Neveu's long-lost grandmother. It is revealed that Neveu is the descendant of Jesus Christ and Mary Magdalene. The Priory of Sion hid her identity to protect her from possible threats to her life.
Sophie, you are the secret. According to all this, Princess Sophie,
Non, c'est pas possible.
you are the heir. The end of the bloodline. You are the last living descendant of Jesus Christ.
The real meaning of the last message is that the Grail is buried beneath the small pyramid directly below the La Pyramide Inversée, the inverted glass pyramid of the Louvre. It also lies beneath the rose line, an allusion to Roslyn. Langdon figures out this final piece to the puzzle. He follows the rose line to La Pyramide Inversée, where he kneels to pray before the hidden sarcophagus of Mary Magdalene, as the Templar Knights did before him. sugarcoat most of the details of the cryptology in the movie, I have to ask you to see this movie as strictly a movie, but not history or even the truth. It's not true. It's a story without foundation in the history of any kind. If you have the interest, you can discuss this movie with our teachers. Or you can learn more about the Priory of Sion and Opus Dei on Google. I also have to praise the author, Dan Brown, as the whole story is so well arranged and so convincing. This is the mastery of a fiction writer. Have you learned something? You can find more on Fundy website for you to write your first fiction. Come and give it a try.
This is an old wives' tale.
The original one, in fact.
There's virtually no empirical proof.
He knows as well as I do. There's much evidence to support it.
Theories. There are theories.
Notice how Jesus and Mary are clothed. Mirror images of each other.
The mind sees what it chooses to see.
And venturing into the even more bizarre, notice how Jesus and Mary appear to be joined at the hip and are leaning away from each other as if to create a shape in the negative space between them. Leonardo gives us the chalice. Yes. Oh, and Robert, notice what happens when these two figures change position.